Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me as always is my co-host, Jose Romero.
Happy Nerd Thursday once again. Getting ready.
Celebrating
Nerd Week.
Our weekly check-in, the Week in Geek.
Right.
Here for you, Week in Geek. We took a week off because there was too much nerd stuff to do. We're like, we can't even talk about it. Right? There's a lot of people out there saying things. We'll let them say their things. We'll double back in a second week, and we'll talk about all the stuff.
That's true.
And that's what we're here for today.
News that kind of just dropped, but we'll get to that in a second. This is like literally, I didn't even prep for it
All
because
right.
I just saw
I'm
it.
excited.
Getting the show ready. I'm like, oh wow, what's this? And
Are you to be emotionally prepared? Are you guarding
no,
yourself? Are you grounding? Are you one with nature?
Like, all of us nerds are always composed. We never rant. We never get excited.
Well, I don't know about that, but
we'll do it on Twitter or anything like that. Not us nerds anymore.
Not even a little.
Well, maybe soon enough after this couple of things of news coming out. But a couple of small things that dropped. One that didn't garner much attention. Well, it does, but it doesn't. By the way, two things. One is The Boys. They started filming season 4, and they just cast Jeffrey and Dean Morgan. Of course, those who watch The Walking Dead, Supernatural. He was Bruce. He was in one of the.
He was in The Watchmen.
The comedian.
He was a comedian in The Watchmen.
Bruce Wayne's father. I can't think of his name. Or suddenly lost his name. Thomas Wayne. There we go.
Thomas Wayne.
I love
Superman. Yeah.
Jeff and Dean Morgan. So that's interesting that they brought him in for that. Adding talent.
No announcement
Nope.
on who he's going to be, though.
I don't know if you. And I wouldn't read the comics, so I don't know of any characters that will come around this time.
You know what? I read the comics, but I read it so long ago, I don't know. And, it could be a couple of people. I heard rumors it might be Tech Knight, but I don't know who he's going to be. I'm open-minded. I want to see what he can do.
Talent never hurts, and he's great. I think he has that gravitas for that kind of, to be in The Boys. He fits right into that world, I think. Kind of like that gruff and that grit.
Jeffrey D. Morgan always feels like he's too big for TV, but he never gets enough credit in movies. Yeah. So he's great for TV because he always feels like he's bigger than this, which means he brings so much to the screen. I really like him. I like him. He's all dude.
So that's what I'm saying. He fits right in perfectly, right? He's not going to outshine the cast.
Yeah,
I think he fits right.
Yeah.
Good cast, so that's interesting.
Anthony Starr is right there. Anthony Starr has big Jeffrey D. Morgan in it.
I think it works great. So that's a good casting. The second bit of news is one of our other good favorite shows on Netflix, superhero-wise, or comic book anyway, and that's The Umbrella Academy. Finally greenlit officially by Netflix, of course. Were there any doubt with that? But it's the final season 4, which I think is a good it seems like this is about to end, and this is a good point to wrap it up and close this whole story. I think it passed the comics, didn't it?
If the last season was the last arc in the comics, so they're getting to, unfortunately, Game of Thrones season 8 territory where they've outlasted the source material. So now what happens? So, but they've reinterpreted so much that's not in the book to make it work in the TV series that I'm less scared of it now than it was with Game of Thrones. Exactly. They had a really good idea of characters because they're not point by point copies, so they really made their own versions of it, and it works. And like you said, when we first saw the season 3, the first episode, I was a little bit hesitant, and by the time I saw the whole full series, like, God,
it just never let us down. Talking about consistently great shows.
Yeah. I was worried, but never let me down.
It's the last one. But I'm always worried about the final season because we stick in the landings.
Yes.
It's easier said than done, right? And I think most shows don't do it, whether it be the last season or just the last episode, right? We got a good one, Better Call Saul. They just ended it to run last week. But yeah, it's hard to do that. It's really hard. So don't fuck it up. So I'm saying. But it's the last one, so it's bittersweet. But I'm glad they're ending it because again, some of these shows shouldn't be dragged out to more than they need to be. In this one, 4 seasons, like Stranger Things 5. Good place to end it.
Good place to end.
That's good. So yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's because I'm a kid of the 80s and the 90s, but I like when a series lasts 5 years, at least 5, because it kind of gives you that chance to they've explored and they've given a time to explore all the characters and then finalize the story. Anything else, I feel like you're playing with fire. More than 5 seasons, you're kind of playing with that danger zone of like, well, what else we're gonna do now? And you're kind of like making, not that nothing else is made up, but now you're just sort of like, well, we have outgrown the story, so now where are we gonna go? 5 seasons, you're still within that. Told the story you want to tell.
Anything more than that, it gets to be redundant or just or
a little tricky.
Start jumping the shark. It happens all the time. Like Dexter's one, it just comes to mind as far as lasting too long. But either way, so that's good news. And speaking of Netflix, I know a quick thing was Neil Gaiman was talking about the Sandman stuff. A show that we both really liked a lot. And two things he mentioned. One, he talked about that years ago. I guess they were trying to make it into a movie, and he had gotten a hand of the script, and he leaked it on purpose. Because it wasn't good. So I think he said he leaked it on Ain't It Cool News, an old website which people used to read, not anymore. But it was big for geeks, back in the day. And
Ain't It Cool News was
that
the
was
tits.
It, right? Back
it was
like 5-10 years ago, whenever it was, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Before YouTube, we started popping up, but.
I remember that's where they made announcements like Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. That's when they announced that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Iron Man. Like that was it. That was
now it's what it's worth. But
as a matter of fact, if you watch Entourage, when they're doing the Aquaman stuff, there's their version of Ain't It Cool News.
Yeah, like I said, it's a thing. I don't know what it is, but he leaked it to them, and they just killed it. So it was the worst script they've ever read. And he did it on purpose, knowing they would say that. So the movie was killed.
Smart.
As part of the reason why the movie didn't go through. Good on Gaiman, who he knew that shit wasn't ready. But now, so that's interesting. But now he also talked about Sandman season 2, where it hasn't yet to be greenlit, despite the fact that it's done really well.
But it's been like number 1 in the world for like 2-3 weeks in a row already.
He talked about that.
It's guaranteed.
He said it's tough because, and he was pretty open about it, where he mentioned that the cost for the season is very high. And Netflix has to justify that cost versus, which is the viewership, because he's talking about, people have to watch it all the way through. I don't know what those numbers are, right? We don't know. People are tuning into it. Are they sticking around? We'll see. But even if they do, is it still worth it for Netflix to push forward? Because it's an expensive show. It's a fantasy-driven show, right? And the second season, going where I think it's going to go, it's a lot, even more heavier on CGI than the first season was. Right, that's
way
what I'm saying. So the cost is going to go significantly higher. So he was like hesitant on, he was kind of unsure what a Netflix would. But on the positive side, even if Netflix doesn't renew it, he has the rights to it. It's not like it's a Netflix show. He can shop it. He can shop it around. For whatever that's worth.
Right. So, cool. That it'd be kind of interesting if every season was at a different studio, so they were just on the hook for like one season's worth of stuff, and you can kind of get a different kind of like
production feel. If the creative team behind it is going with it, because let's assume the one that comes to mind is Amazon, because they got deep pockets and they kind of do well with these fantasy shows.
Yeah.
Again, if they're gonna bring the exact same team, great. If they're changing it around, who knows, right?
Listen, the only thing we know for sure is definitely not
HBO Max. Probably would not bring that. Well, they had their chance. They didn't want the show, so they met. Well,
especially now,
they can see the success of it now. They may say, "Well, hold up a second. We'll bring it by." It's still Warner Bros. It's their property. So
it is.
Maybe they get it back. But again, that depends on Netflix. But I have to.
It depends how much they want to save in taxes.
He's doing the right thing. But let's see. It hasn't been renewed yet, so I'm kind of worried because I really want to see season 2. I really do. So people haven't seen it. It's great. Watch it. I'm still waiting. I haven't seen last episode yet because I'm watching with my girlfriend. But it takes a while to watch it with her. So
sticks the landing.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Sticks the landing, my friend. Sticks the landing.
But either way, so those are little tidbits there. Now, this is one piece of news which I didn't mention to you. I saw this earlier this week and I forgot to mention it to you. But apparently, we live in a very strange world. We live in a world where, we got Trump, all that, of course. Who thought that would happen 20 years ago?
Right.
And we're in a world where, we can get a Man of Steel 2 or even a new Superman, for Christ's sake. But we can get an RIP 2, apparently. This is the world we live in.
What?
So Universal has greenlit RIPD 2, Rise of the Damned. Why the fuck would anybody greenlit RIPD 2 when the first one was terrible?
There's two words. Ryan Reynolds. That's the only thing you got going for you.
That's a fair point. However, he's not going to be in it, nor is Bridges. there's no reason for it. Period.
There's
but
no
you can use it. Reynolds' argument, maybe that's a stretch. But now they're not even going to be in it, so it got greenlit without the two heavyweights. That movie tanked big time, and I think it's going straight to video. I think it's going straight to video.
And you know what? To be fair, I watched it after when it went on streaming. Dude. Wasn't that bad. It wasn't great. I'll put it this way.
For it, would you have said those words?
It was. Well,
if you had paid for it,
what'd you say? I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
what
I'm saying.
No. Like if they release it as a streaming movie, I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad.
It's still bad. But how does this get a sequel? For Christ's sake, I don't understand that. Like, who
I don't know, man.
Well, I got a great idea.
I'll tell you what it is. Universal's like, we need a superhero franchise. What do we got? The Hulk? No, we're Hulk coming anymore. We lost that one too. Men in Black, that's not ours. We have RFID. Oh yeah, let's do that.
That makes a lot of money. I didn't like the last one that much, but it banged, so fine.
You know what they should have done? They should have tried to reboot and do it right. They should have done League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but do it right. Reboot it a complete. You own the property. Reboot it and do a thing.
But
that would have been awesome.
Would have been a good idea. Awesome. Anything else? I just don't understand. Look, I don't get it. I don't get it.
If you rebooted League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and you had David Fincher, the director, oh my God, that's the movie.
We all know that. It was just badly made.
It's garbage. I think you got to reboot it from the scratch. But RIPD, RIPD is only if you have Bridges or Reynolds. Without them, there's no reason.
It's questionable.
It would have been real. They would have come back for the money. It would have been totally a paycheck movie.
For them, but yes, it would have been fun to see them. Salaries because Ryan Reynolds is a bigger star now. Because this is back in 2013.
Oh yeah, sure.
The original. He's a bigger star now. That's pre-Deadpool.
Yeah. It was pre-Deadpool and Bridges. It was pre-Iron Man, so Bridges didn't really hit his Renaissance level either.
2009. So, yeah.
No, what? Yeah. Oh, it was 2013. Yeah. He was already high off of Iron Man. So right. And honestly, if you want to see good Jeff Bridges, really watch Old Man.
Good. Absolutely, yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, he's great.
He's killing in that series.
Good for him. So, yeah, dude, I don't understand this world. I really don't. Speaking of that, stuff not to understand. Warner Brothers. Let's start with this news, though. Let's start with it's not really negative what we're going to talk about, but I do want to mention this. I told you this. This just popped up less than an hour ago. And that's, I guess, Warner Brothers, I'm reading here, has reportedly found its next Kevin Feige, quote unquote. They've been talking about that for a while, trying to get a figure like that to head DC Films, whatever. Now that DC Films is actually a separate entity like Marvel is now with Disney.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Jesus, I'd rather see RIPD 2.
Kathleen Kennedy and
producing
Amy
RIPD 3. Coming up in a couple years. But Dan Lin is, I guess, he's considered one of the, I guess, according to the article I'm reading, one of the 30 most powerful film producers in Hollywood, for whatever that's worth. I guess he comes highly touted by Alan Horn, of course, who came out of retirement to help out with the new,
Right.
Spearheading the new Warner Bros. Division, Discovery, and all that stuff. So I'm looking at some of his films, and I mean, most producers, it's a lot of hit and miss. He's Godzilla vs. Kong series, I guess. The Two Popes is actually a pretty good film, Netflix. The original Godzilla, King of Monsters. It's okay. Aladdin, not a huge fan, but it was a big hit for what it's worth. Lego
big hit.
Ninjago, both Lego movies, the other two, Lego Batman as well. So that's good. I can deal with that.
Okay.
Right. Gangster Squad. The original Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. Fine.
Robert Downey, okay.
Terminal Salvation. The Departed. Okay, I mean that's great. That's great. I mean that's great.
Well, That's a definite
that's one. That's a good one. So he's got some good stuff there. I mean, again, it's easier said than done to say we'll bring the next Kevin Feige, right? I mean, but
absolutely,
like I said,
And even then, like we said before, Kevin
Agreed.
Feige wasn't
Correct,
Kevin
right.
Feige off the jump.
And Alan
either.
Horn,
Right.
we talked
So,
about it before, but he mentioned how he helped shepherd him into what he is now. So
Right.
maybe he can, turn strong to gold again with this guy, because they need it.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, that's
Sure.
what David Zaslav has been looking for. That's what he wants. So again, this has been reported, it's not official, but I saw this in a couple of the big trades, so which pretty means it's set in stone. I guess we'll see.
Listen, every Obi-Wan needs a Qui-Gon. So, let's see what happens.
It can't be worse than what they had before. Let's be honest. I mean, so
Yeah.
nowhere to go but up
Uh-huh.
at this point. And his resume is now RIPD, so that's already a plus to begin with.
That's true.
'cause listen,
That's true.
Comes on with it's him and someone else they got last year to take care of. I know they mentioned they want a 10-year plan.
A lot.
Okay, again, easier said than done, right? Whatever. But they still got a few movies coming up, and there's been a couple of them that back in the news. I feel like this is an old reference, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Is Rocky and Bullwinkle. He's gonna put a rabbit out of his hat.
Right.
Again. Shazam postponed. Again. Aquaman postponed. Again. It's like, how many times these movies they must just not even release them. So yeah, they came out, and I did some digging with this. It's not as bad as it sounds. It really isn't. It's just kind of like whatever. So apparently now, instead of December this year, Shazam's moving to March of next year. And I heard part of that reason is because Avatar's coming out at the same time. I don't think they're really scared of Avatar because in the holiday season, everybody gets it. That's been proven. But they have pretty much all the IMAX films. Avatar does. Theaters. So they figured it's going to March because that's extra revenue, which makes a big difference, more money. So
sure,
I get a money move, a business move. No problem with that. It's only a few months, right? I mean, whatever. So it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
Aquaman going from I think it's March all the way to December of next year. It's a big push.
That's a big push.
But I know when I read deeper into it, I know James Wan. I'm sorry. Who was directing the film? He talked about even at CinemaCon like a few months ago that he was saying he's hopeful he can get the post-production work done. It's a very heavy thing, so he kind of mentioned that. I was reading how COVID has caused so much delays, a backlog of stuff with all these superhero films coming out and TV shows. So that could be a reason why. And let's be honest, Aquaman had awesome success when it came out in Christmas, back in 2018 when it was. It was $1 billion.
I still like Aquaman had so much success. I still don't understand how it had so much success. What it is.
I mean,
you're absolutely right. It is. You're right. It is a $1 billion movie.
I mean, I like the film.
I still don't get it.
It's not like amazing. It's not great.
It was okay. Like I said, it was too much. It was like eating 3 quarter pounders.
Eating it, but then
it was too much. It was like. You feel bad. You throw up afterwards. You're like, "Oh, why am I such a fat ass?"
I like Momoa. He's great. It's just too much. So, whatever. But listen, it wasn't. But obviously, people like people went to go see it.
Charismatic.
Obviously, right? So
yeah,
money talk. So I get it why they moved it and what. But I did. Oh, go ahead.
Put it this way: I saw that movie Intoxicated, and I was like, "This is a lot."
I should have watched it. That would be kind of cool. That movie can be very trippy. With fucked up, that could be an interesting way to watch fucked up. I get to that. I did hear potentially they may move Flash. Just an outside thing. Bring it closer, like moving up to December, whatever the case is. I don't know if that's true. Your camera's
even my camera didn't like to say.
Like, hey, say
whoa,
what?
Go, wow,
again, this is something that's slightly heard. The whisper in the wind doesn't mean anything at this point in time, but. Whatever. I mean, not the worst thing, dude. I mean, I get it. If the movie's not ready, no reason to rush it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
And I get the whole IMAX. It's money. It's money. Okay. All right.
I understand the movie not being ready, but
they put
I'll take it back. I understand moving up the Flash because you don't know how long you can keep Ezra Miller on a leash.
He apologize and maybe he's in good graces.
Like come in now when
it may be a
people are like,
move.
all right,
it might be
so
a smart move.
sorry.
So whatever. But maybe I know why. Well, the Aquaman had no choice. I mean, it probably was not going to be ready. It's like, okay, it was in March. They pushed Shazam to March. Okay, they couldn't push it to the middle of the summer. Guess when the Flash is coming out. So the only option was the end of the year.
Right.
So Christmas time. So whatever. I mean, I think it'll compete against the next Avatar.
Yes.
Whatever. Again, in Christmas, everybody can eat. There's lots of money to be had.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's plenty. There's a lot. People need more excuses not to be with their family.
Yes.
So yes,
Well, y'all want to come
get the
by
movies out
Gideon,
there.
go watch, catch a couple of flicks, come back home.
Oh yeah, like my kids are yapping too much. Let me get them in the house and give you guys a break. We're gonna go watch Aquaman, which means I'm gonna take a nap for about 3 hours, and I'm gonna watch Jason Momoa be charming. So yeah, okay, cool. Let's do that. Oh yeah, sure.
I think the kids see Avatar too.
What's Avatar?
You're right about that. Like, it's getting re-released. So here's the opportunity to take them back out. I think Disney, they took it out of Disney Plus for the re-release coming out in September. And they'll put it back on Disney Plus after. Yeah, it's all about the money. I get it. And
sure.
Whatever.
All about
it's fun.
Cash grabs.
It's a business. So yeah, so that's interesting. So we'll see. Let's see if any movement comes about. What do we got? We got Shazam. Not Shazam. Black Adam. So Black Adam and then
Black Adam. The DC's lone 2022
last
hope.
2 films of the year. Yeah.
And I was saying for DC, Marvel's just killing the game top to bottom. They don't have to this is the only, not on TV, but for movies, this is the only thing Warner Brothers has for 2022 is Black Adam. That's it.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I mean, whatever. It's The Rock, dude. Come on.
Listen, The Rock may be playing a god, but he's just a man.
You're incorrect. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Just saying. Just saying.
Move on to Marvel. Speaking of which, and there's an interesting story with Olivia Wilde, who directed a couple. She's been in movies. She just started to direct. She did Booksmart, which is actually a pretty cool movie a couple years ago. She's doing one now. It's coming out. I forget the name. It's getting some buzz behind it. Okay. And I guess there was a story. I don't know if you remember it. I don't think we ever talked about it. Where the rumors was he was going to be doing Spider-Woman, potentially. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
They were talking to her about, just the movie coming out and all that stuff. And of course, it's hard not to always bring up Marvel or whatever the case is, particularly with a rumor like this attached to her. So they're talking to her about it. She's going to do a Marvel, do Spider-Woman, or whatever the case is. And, she had an interesting quote saying that I can't say a word about. Yeah, no, I can't say anything about it. I have to bury myself in the couch now. I would say that I think the Marvel approach of allowing newer filmmakers to come into the fold and have access to those tools of the Marvel Universe is incredibly exciting. I am a big fan of what they're doing over there, but yeah, I can't confirm whether that is what it is. But that would be cool, and I heard she smiled and winked when she said that last part. So she's talking about Marvel. So Spider-Woman is not necessarily Marvel per se, at least not the MCU. They're Sony.
Well,
Marvel.
Kind of. Well, that's the thing, because Jessica Drew is Spider-Woman, but she's not Spider-enhanced. But I think she still falls in that Sony bundle deal that they gave Sony. So I think it still falls into that. Right. And honestly, yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd love to see her do an MCU character. Right before I came on, it was announced that Marvel's going to be doing a Photon comic book series from the girl from WandaVision, Photon. And I really like that actress. I thought she was very charismatic. She worked really well in WandaVision. I wouldn't mind to see her, but she's going to be in Marvel, so that's it. But I don't know what I don't know if Spider-Woman is the end all be all. I think Olivia Wilde is a talented enough actress, and I haven't seen her directing, but I know she's a talented actress, and she kind of knows.
Booksmart was very good. Very good movie. There's next
I gotta watch it. I have not seen it
again. For whatever it's worth, the buzz is good. Whatever.
All right, but I'd like to see her do something. I don't want to see I don't want to see her do a Sony movie because I want to see a good movie.
That's a fair point.
So that's
but this Sony can we got Craven coming out. Maybe.
Still, like I said, I want to see a good movie.
Whatever. And you know what? I forgot to mention this to you. And this is a rumor out there about the potential story of Madam Web. And I guess, from I understand, I forget who the villain. They didn't say the villain, but the villains are going back to.
Not the villains, they're the heroes.
Bunch of
different Spider-Women from
to
different
prevent
time
the
periods.
death of.
They're going back in time. Yeah, I heard about that.
Uncle Ben, right?
Uncle
no,
Ben.
Aunt May.
They have to save Uncle Ben.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, I got it.
No, they're
Peter
saving
Parker's
Uncle
mom.
Ben.
That's what it was. Because it was, Peter Parker's. It was very kind of
Oh.
Terminator-ish kind of vibe, which whatever, fine. Everyone steals from it, but
Okay.
that was the
All
thing,
right.
and I guess they're trying to prevent that. So, which will make sense as Madam Web. He's kind of an ancillary character, but but she.
They're making Madam Web
Right,
be like
but
Doctor
she can,
Strange of the
cross
Spider
time or
Verse.
universe or whatever,
Right.
right? So I guess that would kind of make
Yeah.
sense of how she's involved in the film. I don't know. But yeah, Madam Web and having like a Spider Woman kind of makes sense for them because we don't know what the hell Sony's doing. No one knows what Sony's doing. I mean,
Sony doesn't know what they're doing. Just look at what unless it's 100% Spider-Man, it is almost guaranteed to fail. Spider-Verse awesome, Spider-Man's awesome.
Venom,
Everything else has been
okay, and they did win the box office, money wise.
They won the box office because there was literally nothing else to compete against, and they were decent. They weren't great. They weren't fun.
I'm not saying they're bad movies. Like it's not shit. It's not Morbius.
You know what?
Let's get that straight.
I put Venom and Carnage on the same panel as like R.I.P.D.
Oh,
so that's it's literally like that. It's literally like that.
Awful.
To me, I feel like they're on the same level. No. They are better graphics. That's the only thing they're going for them is better graphics because they got made more recently. It's like in terms of quality, it's kind of
it's better than that. I'm not saying that neither one. None of these movies are great, but they're fine. People like them. I mean,
I
disagree.
It is,
right? People went and made a ton of money, so for whatever it's worth, hey, one of the out, Sony's like, well, the Eric, they like it? No, it made $100 million. Okay. That says something for whatever.
Screw those guys.
That makes money. But they weren't terrible. I'm not saying that. They were fine. But yeah, I don't trust what they're doing anyway, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if Olivia Wilde does something. I hope it's with Marvel, not with Sony, for her sake. To be honest with you, but she talked about Marvel bringing in direct. That's kind of what Marvel does. No, Kevin Feige has known to bring in these small time directors, like one who did Eternals or whatever. Yeah. The Russo brothers, for example, they weren't big names. Even Ryan Coogler was on the verge.
Ryan Coogler was Creed was his biggest movie. So like that's.
I don't think Creed had come out yet when they signed him, if I'm not mistaken. So he wasn't quite
right.
Ryan Coogler at the time anyway. So they're known to
do
that.
Absolutely.
And Olivia Wilde's got talent. So let's see. I mean, D23 is coming up pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken, right? September. Yeah.
I want to start. Like for the next episode, we should speculate who she might direct. Like what character Marvel might give her. Just kind of see what. But I'll try to watch Booksmart to kind of get an idea of like where her sensibilities are.
Story, so I think
okay.
Stanfield was in that. Who is obviously what they're facing Hawkeye.
Right.
Young Avengers. That'd be interesting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I can see maybe Young Avengers. Yeah.
A lot of announcements come D23 for sure.
Right.
That being said,
right.
Let's get some TV talk. Here's the two big shows we didn't talk about that originally. Well,
two
big show,
really big shows.
Run-of-the-mill show. So the Run-of-the-mill show, the She-Hulk.
Let's see what
Marvel's newest.
Okay.
Which is the greatest comedy in the history,
really?
According to everyone who saw it.
It's not the greatest comedy. It's better than Venom. It's better than Venom.
People who saw it, like, it's the funniest thing they've ever seen, and oh my god.
Actually, I disagree. Everyone that I heard saw it early said the first episode was weird. The second one got a little better. The third one they started to like it more, and apparently by the fourth episode they became fans. That's what the breakdown has been from what I heard.
It's the greatest thing ever. The funniest MCU.
It's not the greatest. It's
time.
fun.
So
it's
the expectations were there.
It's not
That's
funny.
Expectations were there.
Fun.
And it's
fun.
Fine. Is it
right?
Is it a funny show? No.
It's fun.
Is it a humor show? Sure. There's a difference.
I will say, episode 1 had their after credit scene joke that made me laugh.
And that's sad when you say that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, because you needed that whole show to pay off that joke.
Again, if the after credit scene is the best,
it wouldn't work any other way.
Show,
no, I didn't say it was the best thing. I said that's the funniest joke they had of the show was the after credit scene. That's not true. I enjoyed episode 1. I enjoyed episode 2.
Not a big deal show. I'm not like, okay, it's okay. The CG looks awful. It just looks awful.
I once again disagree. It looks way better than I expected, and
yes,
better than what the trailers first showed.
A glass of piss tastes better than polished shit. It does, but it's still a glass of piss. It looks terrible.
I disagree. I disagree.
It looks awful. There's no weight behind that character. Today's episode, I was watching it. She's carrying a glass, and the glass isn't literally. Go look. I swear to God, pause it. Swear to God, the thing's like the glass is in midair. It's really, really, really bad. It's just.
I gotta see it. I mean, I saw it, but I did not notice
the CG is not good. You might say it's not horrible. Fine. It's just not good. It's Disney. You got money. Your main character is CGI. You gotta do better. Other Netflix does it way better and they got less money. Amazon does it better. You can argue they have more money. Apple's got money and they spend the money. Disney spend the fucking money. Your character is CGI. There's no excuse for glasses in midair, but you can't grab it.
Here's where I've heard people say why you can tell definitely that the Hulk looks better than She-Hulk in comparison to the two. And I've heard people say like, but why? And I'm like, well, because they've had like 6 movies to perfect the Hulk CG, and so now it's just inputting that to the thing. But my point is, if you're gonna have a fully CG character for the majority of the series, introduce her in a movie so that budget takes care of the rendering, so it's easier for the TV series to do that thing. Like in episode 2, they introduced Emil Blonsky, and from the trailers, we already know he's gonna turn into the Abomination. But guess what? You had Shang-Chi money to make him look cool. So now when you see him in She-Hulk, he's going to look as good as Shang-Chi because that asset's been developed in movie quality.
But
so that's what I'm saying.
But that's still Disney's fault. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
it is Disney's fault. But here's the thing too. I did not notice the like to me it did not look like such a big stark contrast. Like,
really
whoa!
It just doesn't look good.
To me it was subtle and in moments. Like some parts of that, like that looks really good. Other parts are like, okay, that was a little bit like wonky from the transitions, but overall, my enjoyment of the show, it does not hinge on the CG being 100% every single frame.
CGI, that's a problem. I always said that's a problem. It is because if she's there half the time, fine, or a quarter of the time, but she's not, and you have to spend the money where it needs to. The bulk of the show is based on the CGI character. I'm sorry, I have to do it. It is what it is. As far as that goes, the rest of the show is fine. I was entertained. I mean, it's not a great show at all by any stretch of imagination. I mean, it's okay. I
found it fun. I found it enjoyable. And you know what? Let me just say this too. This series is doing so much work for the MCU, and like in terms of moving, in 2 episodes they fixed the Thor arm problem. And they set up World War Hulk, and they dropped references to Eternals and Wolverine. Yeah, I was like, holy crap! Like, they should be paying her a movie fee. She is just
jumping a lot in it, which is cool.
Like that's
and this takes place
lot of heavy lifting, man.
Shang-Chi, apparently.
During Shang-Chi, like I'm saying, there's a lot of heavy lifting. So this show is doing overtime. It's the amount of work that they're putting into. You know what? Like I said, it's the CG doesn't break it for me, but for the amount of work she's doing for the MCU as a whole, that rendering should be a little bit better. It's not making or break it for me, but I think you reward her by making her look better.
I mean, it's
a little bit.
It's fine. It's too short. What else is New York?
I actually like it. I like 30 minutes. And you don't feel like you're at no point do you feel like, oh man, like it's just. Like sometimes in an hour, you get so caught up. You wonder like, what is going like?
That's like.
In the first one was 35. I'm okay with short,
but they're always short. And it's like, and the problem with these shows, and I heard someone talking about it earlier, which made perfect sense. Who's willing to film it? Some guy I watch, and he's like, all these MCU shows. He's a huge fan of all the MCU shows, right? He's a mark, but whatever. But he will say none of these shows feel like a TV series because it feels like movies that are chopped up. So we have this episodic, this satisfaction in the end. He's like, well, that was it. No cliffhanger. It just seems like they're just kind of plodding along. And he mentioned Obi-Wan as an example. A couple of shows without he mentioned they re-edit as a movie. Like, there you go, that's a movie. MCU shows are the same way. So it's which is why he loves the show, but doesn't make good television. He's a bigger fan than I am because there's some shows I don't like, some I do. But I understand what he's saying. That it's not filmed like TV either, and that's the problem with MCU. They don't know how to do TV, which is why when I say episodes too short. Because it leads off in a position where it's like, okay, where are we going with this? There's no complete story within each episode for the most part, or it's not advancing the story enough, which is what I'm saying is too short. give us more in terms of the length
Right.
to really set up a story. Because now you give us 9 episodes, but it's really going to feel like 5 with the length of each show. When we see shows at 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, right?
Well, maybe that's why Daredevil's going to be 18 episodes.
Well,
Like
if
maybe
they're
7 of them
minutes,
are 22
that
minutes.
I can
Like,
live with that, right? I mean, because obviously, but it is very short. And it's a bad complaint because we talked about some of these shows being too short, either the whole series in length or whatever, right? It's just, can we get a little bit more juice behind it? And it's like, okay, like today's episode, it sets up the world of everything but a She-Hulk for the most part, right?
I'll tell you what, somebody I was talking to brought up this thing. I was like, that's a really cool point. If they would have released episode 1 and 2 together, it would have felt much more like a fully like moment in her, like from learning how to be She-Hulk
to where she's at
to
now, right?
representing Blonsky, and then Blonsky escapes. Like, it would have been a much like, okay,
what if they added,
the
let's say,
world.
50,
Go.
so a 22-minute show? They could have taken just 15 minutes and added that to the last episode, right? One episode.
Yeah, they could have made it. They could have made it a 50-minute episode, and combine those two
Give us the
together,
same-
and that would have
yeah,
been
and
and
gave
that
us
would
the
have
same
been a
information,
solid,
right? The same-
solid
and
first
that's what I'm
episode.
saying. It's, and
That's
that,
what-
what the guys are alluding to, it just doesn't feel, it's short. Not always a bad thing, but it's
It's short and it's fast. A lot of stuff
right,
happens.
there's no time
Like,
to
it's just
digest
boom,
anything,
boom,
it's just
boom.
flying through. Let's take a step back a little bit, right? I mean, this is like,
But you know what? I kind of like it. But so many people were complaining that Moon Knight took too long to get to the thing because they were hanging on the characters, and they're like, "Oh, we know your character studying, but let's move it along." And this one, I feel, is the opposite, and I kind of like that, especially after getting out of
as a character study than her, right? You know, it's just preference as far as what I want to see, right?
I mean, listen, I love Moon Knight, but I'm saying for She-Hulk, because it's comedy's always got to be faster. Drama, you can take a little bit more, but comedy, it's got to be boom. It's got to be tight. You got to keep going.
It's humorous at best.
Okay,
Right.
even humorous
but Marvel,
TV.
but every
Listen,
show is like
listen.
that. Every show tries to be funny. You know, Marvel is the funniest thing that no one laughs at, but I know they want to keep pushing the comedy. It just doesn't work for Marvel. It's just not funny. You know, commit to something. You can't commit to comedy when you don't know how to do comedy well.
I'll tell you. I still to this day, I still say that Miss Marvel is probably the most well executed TV format and comedy format I've seen from Marvel. Miss Marvel has like that
That's a fair point.
really good
Yeah, I
pacing
think there's a way better
and
show than
funny.
this, personally.
Thus
far,
I
the first
think
two,
that
the
I
first two
kind of
episodes
like
are
this one a
vastly
little bit.
superior in everything than.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the first, in terms of episode by episode.
We haven't seen.
You're right. Yeah, it's structured way better.
But right now, just thus far, right? It's like in the first
Right,
two.
exactly.
The
That's
first
what
two
I'm saying.
only, that's what I'm saying. Miss Marvel was a much better show, and the first episodes I thought were really good, right? Yeah.
I that I can
She-Hulk
agree.
could be better.
Yes,
I mean,
can confirm.
Maybe,
sure.
right? Let's see what I don't know. I don't know.
Let's see. Like I said, from what I heard, it doesn't really like pick up and figure out how to tell its story right into episode 4.
That's
Granted, it's halfway through the season, but the fact that I think it's because we're still trying to figure things out. Honestly, I think it's a growing pain. But I'd rather you figure things out halfway through the season than the end of the season. Like, if your best episode is the last episode of your series, then you failed as a series. But if you can pick up halfway through, I'm like, you know what? You found your legs. Let's go.
Not every Marvel show's ended like they haven't never ended as good as it started. I think, as a whole, right? The endings haven't been great in the Marvel shows.
Well, you know what? Like to me, I always defer. Well, not always, but I'll defer back to Moon Knight. Moon Knight would have been a great ending if they had 15 more minutes.
Again, it wasn't that great episode. I'm saying it was bad, but I'm saying it didn't end as good as we wanted to. Hawkeye was a terrible ending.
I thought Loki and What If ended really well.
As good as it could have.
Loki and What If are still
Loki
to
was
have the best ending.
But again, we're talking about 1 or 2 shows at best, right? They had like a good solid. Even Miss Marvel was solid, but not as good as how the show started. That's what I'm saying. So I hope that same trajectory doesn't bode well for this show if it's not starting high and then it's gonna end. I think this could be a great show. I don't know. Let's see. But listen, it gives a lot of cool shit. It's still an entertaining show. It's fine. It's just not great. It's not a great show.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's like a must-watch TV. Everybody wants to watch She-Hulk. I think it's made cooler because all this stuff is introducing. That's not the stuff that's not in the story. Maybe
Yeah.
more interesting than the actual story itself. I'm not sure that's a good thing either. Like I'm not sure it's heavy.
Like I said,
Yeah.
a lot of heavy lifting.
Is that a good thing?
A
I
lot
don't
of heavy
know.
lifting, man.
I mean, it's a She-Hulk show, and, and it's cool that they set up. The Wolverine thing was funny. It was cool, and then Planet Hulk. It looks like Planet Hulk, right? I guess. As it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
But
Planet,
I mean, all that's cool. That shouldn't outweigh the story. That's all I'm saying, right? That shouldn't be the coolest part of the show. It should be an addition, right? Oh, and they also gave us this, as opposed to they gave us this. So let's see. But I mean, whatever. I heard people like the third one. They say it gets a little weird. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest with you.
I'm here for weird.
Interesting.
I'm here for weird.
I'm not things like Doom Patrol weird. I mean, nothing's Doom Patrol weird. In a good way, of course.
Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella Academy is not as Doom Patrol weird. It's weird, but not Doom Patrol weird. Doom Patrol is a whole new level as far as like weirdness and what the stuff they give you. It's a whole new level.
Doom Patrol is weird because they not only are they weird, but they lean into like the psychologicalness of weird. And Umbrella Academy is trying to internalize their weird psychological. Doom Patrol's like, none of this makes sense. I don't make sense. Everything's crazy. I don't know how to process this. It's just very weirdness. It's a therapy session while super fighting crime, which is great. But yeah, I would like to see something like that in Marvel someday because Marvel's has stories like that. I'd like to get to that.
Totally.
But overall, I do like the tone of She-Hulk. I'm enjoying the pacing. Is it?
Right.
It's entertaining.
That's the most you could ask for any show. It's just not a great show. It's just not great. I want to see a great movie. I really do. This is why I get frustrated because it's like we have a lot of chances to give it. One of these shows has to be fucking like great. Oh man, we haven't gotten that moment yet. This is not going to be it. I'm not saying it's going to be bad.
Right.
I don't think this is the show we're going to be like hanging our head on saying, I don't know what is coming down. Echo and Dow. I don't know down the pipe. I don't see anything that's like could pop off.
I'm hoping Daredevil is that because I'm actually just introducing Daredevil to someone who's never seen Daredevil before, but they were like, we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, and I was like, well, you've seen Daredevil, that's what connects, and like, oh, is that like, I go, I know that's Daredevil, I never saw the series. I was like, you gotta watch the series. So they watched the first episode, and I was like, what'd you think? They're like, that was really good. That was like way darker than I expected. I'm like, honestly, season 1, episode 1 is probably the slowest episode of the entire series. It just picks up from there. So,
well,
exactly.
Actually, maybe the lightest one of this series, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, I mean,
especially in season 2 when they bring Punisher in. That's
sounds great. I'm curious what Daredevil, what he looks like in this show. Obviously, he's coming out in the show. We all know that's not a spoiler.
Right.
So I'm kind of curious how he is.
And they've interviewed Gao. Was it Jessica Gao's her name, I believe? Who was the showrunner. And she said that their Daredevil will be lighter than the Netflix Daredevil. Obviously,
which we all no big surprise there. We knew that.
If you're like, no, he's got to be dark. I'm like, then you're an idiot.
They're never gonna go that dark ever.
It's not there, but they will set him up for the journey to when he eventually lands back in his series. He'll be that Netflix Daredevil.
The room lighter, whatever that's worth. I mean, like again, I'm not surprised. I expected it to be lighter, which is why I'm concerned about the show in terms of when you compare it to what we know. It's great, right? We loved Daredevil. That was a great show. It really was.
Right.
If you don't give us that which is why they should have just hired different actors. They should have just
listen. The minute they showed his costume is yellow and red, I'm like, cool. They're leaning the fact that he's blind and doesn't know what colors look like.
It's a different show. It's gonna be a different show.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So to me, I'm like, I know what this show is. It's a fun romp.
I
got a fun romp with Daredevil.
Good. I just don't think it's. It's hard when you hire the same actors. You're gonna just compare it to what you've seen, right? If we say this is season 4,
sure.
I watched the season before. We say that season 4 was as good as season 3, or vice versa, or whatever, or Game of Thrones. As great as that show was, last 2 seasons were questionable at best.
Well, the last season for sure was questionable. Everything else is still pretty solid.
Again, because it's still part of the same universe. So, but let's see.
Right.
But speaking of Game of Thrones, this is the big one. It's broke all kinds of records for HBO. Apparently, not surprised. It crashed.
Apparently,
site for a little bit. Not surprised. Obviously, I expected that.
Yeah, they actually canceled 10 series just to make space.
So this
for
is why they
more
get rid of all the
viewers.
series. They need the room, you know. Fine, 'cause the series they canceled, they all suck anyway. So good for them. But yeah, Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, finally out. First, I was already hooked from the beginning because the first couple of scenes there was a dragon in it, so I'm already sold. Right
Yeah,
off the
right off the
bat,
bat,
I
like,
mean,
we're not making you
okay.
wait anymore.
I
This is
mean, the show
dragons.
could have sucked. I'd
Boom.
be like, I don't give a fuck. They gave me dragons for a couple of shots. I'm fine with that. But it was cool that they kind of just threw it out there with I forget her name. What's her name? The main character. Oh God. Venerian? Veneri? I don't know. I forget.
I forget.
Whatever.
Listen,
I'm bad with
I'm
names.
infamously
I
bad
am.
at learning
Oh, I
Game
am
of
too.
Thrones
Yeah.
characters until
I
like
know.
season 3. I gotta hear
Yeah,
it
I
a
know.
bunch
It's
of
like,
times.
oh yeah, I get. But yeah, the main character, whatever her name is. But yeah, her riding that dragon, that's fucking dope as fuck. The dragon looks fucking awesome. But either way, so I'm gonna get your thoughts first. Let's start with you, man. What you think about the premiere?
You know what? I remember we covered a story a couple weeks ago where Matt Smith,
Oh,
Doctor who is in the House of Dragons, like there's a lot of sex in
and
House of the
he
Dragon.
he said
I'm like, what are you
negatively.
talking about?
He
And
said
then I was watching. I was like, oh yeah, you're just not used to doing sex scenes, so it threw you off your game. I understand that. That being said, it's interesting. I like it. You know what? I'll tell you what. This first episode made me feel like this was a big budget version of episode 1, season 1 of Game of Thrones. I'm learning about these people. I have no emotional connection to anybody, so I'm just seeing what's going on. Every once in a while, there's such graphically violent scenes that I'm like, God damn. And then there's a fuck scene, and I'm like, all right. And then more people talking. I'm like, okay, I'm getting all the motivation, like from seeing like the king sacrifice his wife to what I can only refer to as a beta C-section. We're gonna figure this out, guys. And having that all go completely sideways to his minister of coin, like pimping out his daughter just in case, like that
Game
whole
of
thing
Thrones,
was sort of
dude. That's how it's
weird.
done.
He's playing the game.
Done.
I get it. From the
awesome.
jousting where like they're like murdering each other. I'm like, I thought this was like a competition. Why are they all just like rah, rah? So I was like, that's really hardcore. And then embracing his daughter and making her the queen. And I was like, all right. So really, all this it wasn't even world setting. It was character setting. We now know who everyone is initially, like their base level.
The game's afoot now, right?
And,
they set the table.
The game is kicked off.
Now we know it's gonna be siding with whatever her name is, and then Damien Targaryen. I don't know. Whatever his name is.
I think it's Darian.
Forgive us.
Darian or Damien. Yeah.
That guy.
It's Matt Smith's character, whatever he is.
Yeah.
Right.
So that those are the two opponents.
Way,
take your sides, essentially.
The biggest baller move of like I don't give a fuck on this show was when you see Matt Smith getting on his dragon to go back to the Vale to meet his wife, and he's bringing his side piece with him. Like, wow! Like this guy
was
is
like
not.
He hiding it. He doesn't have the extra phone, the burner phone.
This is like my wife's ugly. Everyone here bangs sheeps. I gotta hook her. Here we go, guys.
He's Targaryen.
We have fun.
Bro. You gotta give him something better than what he has apparently.
This vicious.
But yeah, listen, it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It felt like Game of Thrones, right? As far as the world, and that was the biggest thing, right? How's this gonna feel? Like, are we gonna get the same vibe, or so they kind of kept things same tone, same vibe? It felt like it was part of the world. That was really cool, right? It's like, oh man, Game of Thrones. Hear the music sometimes, you know. It was good. It set the table well, you know. It really did.
My question is, I did one other question, which is the Targaryens are infamous in their inbreeding to keep their bloodline strong. But then there was that one black dude with the Targaryen hair, and I was like, was that like an extreme inbred? Like there's so many white people having sex, they just genetically randomly produced a black dude. There's like, we don't get this.
Beyond diversity.
But
that's what I'm saying, dude.
I am not one to go like how good. Like I just want to understand how that happened. Like if it was him with another like house, that's cool. I get that. But if it's like, oh, he's just a natural occurrence, I'm like, man, that is. You have to have a lot of inbreeding where you double back to origin of man, black dude. I was like, wow, that is And then I want to see every generation that mutated until it got to him. Like, wow, it must have been like eyeballs on the chin and the forehead. It
I
was
would have said
a
this would have been
mess.
a show would have been fine with not being so diverse, right? I think I would have been okay with it, to be honest with you.
Well, not that it would have been fine because like even in the first Game of Thrones, you had like the Sand
Well,
Spaniards,
I'm
as I
talking about
call
just
them.
Targaryens themselves. I'm saying just right.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
You know,
Targaryens, yeah.
I mean,
Like
you got all the diverse characters,
if
of course,
if their
obviously.
whole thing was right because they were always like everyone is
Right,
like
blonde
very
hair.
pale
Yeah.
skin with blonde hair, and that's just their weird connection they have to the dragons, and that's why I was like, okay, I guess like it's not even like
No.
Aryan because they're so white and so blonde, it's almost alien. And so I could kind of go with that. Like if a flying saucer came down and I saw a gray man and a Targaryen, I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. You guys would live together. You would be the two species. So I was surprised to see him. So I
I know.
actually want to know more of his story. I will say, leave it to Game of Thrones to throw shade on people in the most elegant way possible. Like, may I have the favor of the queen that never
Oh,
was, or here's the heir for a day. I'm like,
that
God
was
damn, like you
that was
guys
pure savage, man.
murder.
Savage.
Oh, elegant savagery,
You gotta love
elegant.
it. That's pretty.
Her.
That's pretty. That's some good lines, Toby. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I like those. Those were good. And I think it was there was another really good line, not a savage line, but she's saying that what's her face when she Dracarys, the mother and the son. Like I wonder how happy he was for
Right.
1 minute or whatever the case it was. That was a pretty good line by Fortune. Yeah.
Yeah,
Forgot the
yeah,
exact quote,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Listen, it's good. It's really good. It looks great. Obviously, you see, they pump money into this shit. I mean, come on, bro.
Oh, this time they because when they first did the first season,
No, right,
nobody
of
knew
course.
what was gonna
Yeah,
happen. Like
yeah.
this could work, this could not. This is like, and then like I don't know if you saw the video. There was someone did a TikTok video where they were in their house and they panned over to the apartment building next to them, and there's like 12 apartments all watching
Obviously.
House of the Dragon. And I was like, that's how you know like they're breaking records because there's so many people already invested into it, and now they know worst case scenario if you put this amount of money in,
Oh no,
we
yeah,
got
of
this
course.
number of
Listen,
viewers.
yeah, this
Easy.
is a pretty good show. They know what they're doing. I mean, you can't give up on Game of Thrones. So they do a prequel, do another prequel, whatever. That's the moneymaker. I mean, listen, I get it.
Three sequels, an alternate
Whatever. I think they
reality.
heard it
Yeah,
might do
all
a
of it.
show by Jon Snow. Whatever.
That's
Listen,
what I heard
get
too.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want to see all this stuff, but I can't blame them. I can't blame them.
Listen, if they do a Jon Snow show, at one point he has to live in a pirate ship with Arya. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna give us a Jon Snow, I
If
want
she's in
Arya
it,
on
I
a
think that would
pirate
be even
ship.
better. To be honest with you.
I think that would be the sell. I need Arya and Jon Snow, and now you got yourself a show.
You know, or
now
do
you got
like a
yourself
quiz show with him, and Jon Snow knows nothing, right? He's on Jeopardy or something. Then, see once Jon Snow actually truly knows, that could be kind of good. Give me that stuff. I'll see that all day long.
Listen, if Jon Snow is the king of the freemen, and Arya is the queen of the sea, oh my God, that's all.
There's a lot to
in.
mine from
I
the
am
source
in.
material. It really is. I guess it just depends who does
Right.
it, right? So, and maybe better off them doing stuff that is not connected to a book, so they're not really worried about, having to adapt something or go off the rails.
Yeah,
Just
look,
start
as
something
long as
fresh,
you have
get a new story. We know the
as
character.
long as you have R.R. Martin just to kind of go like, does this make sense? Cool. All right, and just go back. That's all you need. You just gotta bounce off every once in a while. Like, is that cool? That makes sense. Okay, cool. That's it.
Yeah, toss a couple of dragons in there,
Right.
sexy, and everybody wins. That's it.
Couple of dragons,
Everybody wins.
maybe a
Little
kraken. Who knows?
There's no losing.
Dragon versus the
Do an
kraken,
episode with
baby.
The Rock,
I'm
and
in.
that's it, dude. You're good.
The Rock
The Rock
fights the dragon and the
is the
kraken.
dragon. He comes
Battle
out, he's like-
Royale. That's it.
He does
After
this, his
Red
wings,
Keep.
his dragon wings come out, Does Dracarys with the eyebrow. Come on, bro. That's all we need. In sold. Break records everywhere.
Records, continuity,
Still
sense,
become the number
all
one
broken.
streamer in
Done.
the galaxy, for Christ's sake. But yeah, so listen. Okay, we got a couple of shows. I told you, was it next week? I think it's next weekend. We got the.
I think it's like next week or week after next. We get the Lord of the Rings series.
Already, for whatever that's worth. Some of the reviews been coming out. It's actually in theaters next week. Is it tomorrow? No, next Wednesday, I think, in theaters, in some theaters. Yeah, I think Cinema
Okay.
we're doing like a promotion. You cast the first 2 episodes in the theater. Those sold out pretty quick from what I understand. But yeah, so that's coming out. So that's great. I think it's on a Thursday, not Friday. They usually do Friday releases. Amazon, now it's Thursday. So whatever, same day. So basically, She-Hulk gets pushed to the side. For the time, priorities, man, priorities. I'm telling you. So and then Andor in a couple weeks. I'm saying this is a big nerd, and and what was the other show? Oh, look at Rick and Morty. That's next weekend too. That's
Rick and Morty. Yeah. That might be something good when I'm at Dragon Con next weekend. We'll see what's going on because Adult Swim is here in Atlanta, so I'll let you know all about that if there's anything special. Yeah.
Is it next weekend Dragon Con? Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah, so, next weekend. It's during Dragon Con that it comes out.
Catch the first episode. Maybe they'll give a little sneak peek.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly. I'll let you know. I'll report live.
But that being said, the Nuggets for the week.
Guys, that has been the show. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check out all our shows on the Latin Nerd Network right here on YouTube, where we have Nerdsplaining, and we have the Watch List, and we have Thanos' Choice, and other shows that are coming out. In fact, we'll have a big announcement coming in October about something that I've been doing that will be was kind of been taking the place of some of the shows that we were supposed to do, and we'll get to that, and there'll be a lot of big announcements. Trust me, keep listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that shit helps us as well. And don't forget to follow us on social media at NerdsplainingPod on Instagram, at Nerdsplaining_ on Twitter. If you want to listen to the original audio episodes, you can check them all out at ericdasilva.com, EricDasilva. All the original audio episodes are right there at the landing page. And while you're there, don't forget to pick up my album, Adorably Offensive. I will be going back on tour starting sometime in early next year. Keep watching this. We'll keep you updated for that as well. Guys, once again, thank you for following the show. Thank you for messages. Thank you for asking these questions. We appreciate it. And keep telling your friends. It's been so helpful. And once again, my name has been Eric Da Silva. That has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know.